Hello.
Okay. Hi,
Hello.
everybody. Okay, I think that's about everyone. I'm gonna mute everyone for right now. Feel free to unmute later on when we have questions. Okay. Welcome to the third PSG and PGSG Immigration Attorney General Information Session of the fall 2021 semester. As a reminder, this initiative was developed to increase access to immigration legal services by offering monthly virtual services free to both undergraduate and graduate students at Purdue University. Additionally, the session is being recorded and will be uploaded on the Purdue Student Government's YouTube page. This is a joint initiative of PGSG and PSG. A special thank you to Student Legal Services, International Students and Scholars, Burton D. Morgan Center for Entrepreneurship, and of course, the folks at Green and Spiegel for working with us. I'm also going to send a link in the chat to take attendance. So if I can find the chat, very sorry. Okay, so go ahead and fill that out for attendance. I'm Maggie. I'm a director of governmental relations in PSG. I'm a freshman and I'm majoring in communication and political science. And our attorney here is Jonathan Grode, who graduated from Temple University, Beasley School of Law, magna cum laude, 2008. And Jonathan Grode serves as the U.S. practice director and managing partner for the firm Green and Spiegel. Jonathan has worked continually in the U.S. business immigration law field since 1999 and has amassed considerable experience obtaining non-immigrant and immigrant visas for new company startups, professional workers, artists and entertainers, athletes, physicians, and scientific researchers. Welcome, and thank you all so much for being here tonight. Thank you for joining us, and with that, I will turn it over to Jonathan.
Hi guys, how's it going? Oh, don't everybody chat. Oh wait, you guys are all muted. Theo, how's it going?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Good, and I see Yu Yun is not real. That's good. And we have Bobby and Ali, Aqua, Arangi, Yu Yao. Is it Yuan Yao? Lu?
Yeah, that's Yuan Yao, right?
Yeah, cool. And NC. All right, and now Anita. Look, we have a pretty small group today, so honestly, I think we can let everybody unmute when they want to talk, but like this is an open forum. I mean, we had some questions sent in advance, but I mean, realistically, you guys are the ones that are here, so I'd be happy to address your concerns. And if anybody wants to start the conversation, I know the first question is always hard, but I am ready to answer any questions you have. Bobby, I can tell you got a question. I can see it in your eye.
Thank you for doing this. Yeah, I did have something that I would love to ask you. So I'm currently a student on H4 visa, and I'm
H4.
Yeah, so and I'm planning on transitioning to F1 visa by going to US Embassy over winter break because I have an internship opportunity which I don't want to miss for the summer of 2022. So regarding that, I know that like on September 15th or something, DHS released an F1 visa interview waiver thing for someone that's been issued a visa in the past. Is there something like would that be automatically be applied when I book the appointment at the US Embassy?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a little bit of a tricky situation. They do prioritize students and student visa processing. Where are you looking to apply over Christmas break?
Like the New Delhi Embassy in India.
Are you planning on going back to India anyway? Is that the idea?
I had a change of status that I like filed a while ago, but because of COVID, that's been taking like more than a year and a half. So I'm gonna cancel that. And yeah, that's why I'm having, because I can't miss this internship
so
opportunity.
just for the rest of the group and what we're talking about here, so I can make it more applicable. Bobby's talking about a situation, he's got an H4. That either means you got your parents are on H-1B, or by some chance you look remarkably young and you happen to be married to an H-1B visa holder. I'm guessing the former.
Yeah.
Okay. H4 is a derivative status of H-1B. It's for spouses and kids, ostensibly, as long as they're under 21. Bobby wants to go to H1 or to F1. The advantage of F1, as you guys know, is you can work with a CPT, curricular practical training. I don't deal with the OPT, CPT. That's all done through your International Student and Scholars Office. The question is logistics, because processing a visa sucks. Like right now, processing a visa is really, 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 really hard. And that's because the embassies and consulates are all backed up. Now, the nice thing is that they're prioritizing students. And in some instances, they'll waive the requirement for an in-person interview. But Bobby, you don't know if they're going to waive it or not until you go over there. So I would actually try two things if I were you. One, I would write to Delhi and say,
Okay.
listen, I'm coming in. This is what I'm doing. I either need an emergency appointment or I need you to waive it and let me mail it in. But I only got 3 weeks to sort this out. So help me. There is no
Okay.
harm in asking. The worst thing they're either going to do is ignore you,
Or
or they're essentially going to say no.
okay.
Now, you should go ahead and book appointment.
Yeah.
Get that DS-160 going. Get that visa application in. Even if you get a date set in like May 2022, you can then request an emergency update.
Yeah.
It's always easier to operate from a posture of an in-person interview. So
Okay.
those are the two things that I recommend doing for your particular situation. I wish you the best of luck. So good
Okay.
luck in
Thank you
good
so
luck in
much.
Delhi. Yeah.
Thank
Does that
you.
address your question?
Yeah, so I'll book the appointment and then write to Delhi to request that waiver, interview waiver and stuff. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Next question.
Hi, I have a question too.
Hi, Theo.
Hello. So it's first of all, thank you very much for doing this. It's more of a personal question. So a little bit of my background was that I came to the US with my parents' J2 visas.
Oh,
to
fascinating.
to be correct, like so they're both professors and they were visiting US
Visiting
as a
scholars.
visiting scholars,
I'm guessing
and
from
there's
Korea.
yes, there are two J2s in a row. And then after that, I transferred to private high school, and then I've been staying here as an F1 ever since.
Okay.
So I will have to check up with this with like attorney or something, but it's likely that both of J2 visas will be subject to the 2 years rule.
Yeah.
And my ultimate goal is to get an employment in the US after graduation.
So that's a little tricky because you got to look at your parents' DS 2019 forms. Let me explain. The J visa is an awesome visa classification, and it can be used for a variety of purposes. It's actually for exchange, any concept of exchange. So you can be like a camp counselor on a J1, you can be an au pair, you can come to medical school, you can be a teacher. One of them is visiting researcher and scholar. Now, the problem, Theo, is where did the funding come from? Because if it's not necessarily based on funding and it's just based on something called the skills list, the waiver is easy to obtain. If it's based on funding, there's a bunch of different hoops that you have to jump through. Are your parents still in the United States or do they go home?
No, they have served 2 years rule. That was quite long ago, and they have served the 2 years rule already.
So
for them.
you might want to do something called an advisory opinion. The Department of State with a J1 is the only agency that allows you to write to them and ask them what to do about your situation. They actually have a special mechanism where you send in all of the DS 2019s, your visas, your passports, and you say, hey, am I subject? What am I subject to? I might be able to look at your documentation, and I think if you sign up on the forms, you can get a free consultation with somebody at my firm. We can look at it more closely. But an advisory opinion to see where you stand might be the best way to proceed before you get too far along with any sort of waiver process. So,
Okay, so
it's feasible, but we need to know more.
just one last question. Sorry, it's a quick question. So if they were both to be subject, will I have to serve 4 years or 2 years to serve the
Just
2
2
years?
years.
Just 2 years for both of them.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
great. Good question. Thank you, Theo.
Thank you very much.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? UA Zhao.
Yes, that's me. Can you hear me clearly?
I can. UA, I'm guessing you're from China.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I'm doing pretty good here. 2 for 2 on the guessing. So
Yes.
do you want me to guess which city you're from?
Guess me.
I'm gonna say Harbin,
Harbin? No.
Shanghai.
Pretty close. Not far
Okay.
from Shanghai.
All
But
right.
I guess if you want, you can guess how many years I have been here.
Tell me your situation, then I'll guess.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess my question is related to like H-1B visa and a job offer. So I have potential job offer that I would likely be working next year from June or maybe August. Like I want to ask, like, could company file the H-1B visa for me for next year? Like, because I haven't like started working with them. Like, is it like, could they do that?
Yeah, that's totally fine. So just to kind of give a little background, the H-1B, you
Mhm.
probably have all heard of it. It's your standard working visa. There's 4 components to an H-1B. Does the job require a degree in a specific field of endeavor? Do you have a degree related to that field of endeavor? So if you're into chemical engineering or are you into photography? It looks like you got some photography stuff behind you. Maybe I'm wrong. But if you're into like engineering and you get an engineering job, it's a pretty easy fit. If you're into engineering, you can't get a job in HR, like, human resources. There's not a match.
Mhm.
Then the employer has to pay what's known as the prevailing wage. And
Mhm.
that's like the going wage for your job and your area of intended employment. The tricky thing is there are numerical limitations. There's 85,000 H-1Bs available annually, and they draw a lottery in March. You have to be selected in the lottery. So the employer would have to be willing to go through and meet all of those steps. You would enter the lottery in March, but the earliest start date would be October 1st for an H-1B for a private employer. The exception to the numerical limitations are jobs with the universities. They're called cap exempt. So you could have an employer who is not subject to the cap file on your behalf any time of year. But UA, to answer your specific question, no, you do not have to be currently employed by an employer to get an H-1B visa.
Yeah, thank you. And I also have a follow-up question on this. So this one, I guess, is more personal. So maybe you can try to generalize it to other people. So because during the pandemic, I couldn't go back to China. So my visa has been expired. So I understand that if I want to re-enter USA, I have to have a valid visa. So because of this situation, I plan to stay here so that I don't have to worry about getting a new visa. But next year, my status like would change, or possibly in like 1 or 2 years, my status might change from F1 visa to H-1B visa. So would that cause any problems after I go back to China? Because then my visa.
It shouldn't cause any issues. You can change from F1 to H-1B consecutively without departing the United States. Next time you travel abroad, you'll need to get the H-1 visa in your passport in order to re-enter. Hopefully by then, things will be a little bit better in terms of processing.
Okay, so what is that saying? If I stay in United States, the transition just take place automatically. So I
Correct.
will get. Okay, so next time after I go back, I don't have to apply for H-1B when I'm in China, right?
Correct.
Oh, okay, thank you. I think that will be much better for my
Wait,
situation.
let me just get that last part. You will, if you leave, like if you stay in the United States, you can transfer straight through.
Yes.
If you leave, you need a visa to come back. You have to get the visa stamp in your passport.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, then okay, and I guess I need to ask a clarified question. So if I stay here, I wait for the transfer from F1 to H-1B visa complete. Does that mean I got the H-1B stamp or not?
You can only get an H-1B visa stamp by departing the United States and applying at an embassy or abroad. You cannot get it internally.
I cannot get it internally.
You cannot get an H-1B visa stamp without departing the United States and applying at an embassy or consulate abroad.
Okay. Okay.
You can get status, but you can't get a visa.
Oh,
Your status
okay.
allows you to remain in the United States in a
Mhm.
particular visa classification. The visa
Mhm.
allows you to enter the United States.
Okay. So if I got the status, then I go back. Do I need to apply for the visa or I
Yes,
do not need to?
you
Yes.
do.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
The
it's just
only
the
exception to that
status.
is trips to Canada or Mexico for less than 30 days.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You can go to
Thank you.
Canada or Mexico for less than 30 days without the need to get a visa. That's called automatic revalidation.
Okay, I see. Mm.
Can I jump in?
Ali, was that you?
Yes. Good
Hi,
afternoon,
Ali.
guys.
How's it
How are
going?
you doing?
Good.
Thank you very much for asking. I
Oh,
really
and
didn't
wait,
want to.
hold on 1 second. Yue, I think you've been in the United States for 5 years.
I didn't
No.
want to interrupt. Maybe you
No,
could
more than
continue
5.
More than 5, like 7?
This is 8th year.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, Ali, on to you. Go ahead.
Yeah,
The floor is yours.
Maybe you could continue the conversation with Yue, but I just wanted to know, I'm in J1 visa here.
Okay.
If the J1 visa finishes or expires, can I go to Canada and come back automatically? Because I have my J1 visa only for 1 year, but I have to stay, but I can stay here according to the DS, like for 2 years.
If you go to Canada and is your DS 2019 going to remain valid?
No, that is valid, but you mentioned to Yoa that the only exception for the visa to not apply is traveling to the Canada or to Mexico.
Correct, but your CVIS record is still active and your DS 2019 is still active, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, then you can go to Canada for trips that are less than 30 days and come back into the US without needing a visa. It's called automatic revalidation.
Okay. And this is the case that you have a valid Canadian visa too, I assume.
Well, if you're required to have a Canadian visa, yes, of course.
Okay, good. Sorry to jump in.
No, you're good. You're good. That's a good question.
Can you guess where I'm from?
You want me to guess
Just
where
out
you're
of-
from? You got a
just out
really
of-
challenging last name. Ali Aqua Yakuba. Yakuba? Yakubu? How do you pronounce your last name?
That's Yakubi.
Yakubi.
Yes.
I'm gonna guess.
Just out of curiosity.
I'm gonna guess Indonesia.
No, not even close.
Oh man. Where are you from, Ali?
I will let you know in the chat.
All right, 2 for 3. 2 for 3. I got stumped by Ali on his nationality. Yuan, you have a question? You turn your video on, so I'm assuming that might be an indication you want to ask something.
Yeah. So I'm the first year PhD student at Purdue, and yeah, I'm from Taiwan. So I got one question that is about the EB1 immigrations, and because I heard from my friends that PhD students might have chance to get this one because maybe the research citations. So I would like to ask, do you have any experience about the students that are trying to get EB1 during their study?
Yeah, we don't normally recommend doing, and that's a great question. So EB1, everybody, is a green card, permanent resident. And EB stands for employment based, and the 1 is first preference, the top preference. There's a variety of EB1 that allows you to self-sponsor. That's called EB1A, extraordinary ability. And it allows you to stand on your own. And the hallmarks of it are really associated with a lot of things that people who get PhDs do. You know, publications in journals, reviewing other people's work, making original contributions.
Yeah.
This is normal. The problem, really, Ali? Anyway, Yuan, the tricky part is they're very challenging to get without having that terminal degree. They
Okay.
want to see you have that terminal degree. They want to see you have like reached the apex of your career in that respect before issuing the EB1. Now, what a lot of people do, especially of your nationality, because you're Taiwanese and that's treated differently than mainland China, is there's actually something called a national interest waiver, NIW. It's an EB2 classification. It's the only other green card where you can self-sponsor. And that's a lower threshold than the EB1A for extraordinary ability. So usually when you get into that postdoctoral setting, that's what we utilize more than EB1. Now, if you're absolutely amazing and like you figured out cold fusion and you have a journal published in article published in Nature and like you become Time Person of the Year, boom, go get your EB1A. I'm not going to stop you. But the reality is you really got to move beyond that terminal degree.
Yeah, so basically the most common things people do is that after graduated, and maybe I got a position like research scientist or somehow in the research lab that I can go on the EB1A. Is that you recommend?
More or less, yeah.
Okay.
But if you want to avail yourself of the consultation and provide your resume, we're happy to take a look at it further.
Okay, I see. Okay, thank you.
Good questions. Charlene Brown.
Hi, I have one just to follow up with that question a while ago. So like for the EB1, because like I'm also a PhD student, but I'm in my 5th year and I'm hoping to graduate by next year, December. And so I really don't know much about like the next step. And like this EB1 seems quite interesting. So will you apply for that like the year in advance, or would you have?
I mean, honestly, most people don't go straight to green card. They'll do O1, which is the non-immigrant version before they'll do EB1.
Okay.
EB1 is like super subjective. Like if you read the language in the regulations, it says you must have risen to the top of your field of endeavor. Like they really want to see you at the apex of your profession. Okay. So it's not like a super easy thing to get. Now, this is where the politics become interesting, because under the Trump administration, I would say no, never, because they were just denying these things. The Biden administration is far more flexible and understanding of it. Usually, Charlene, you would get a O1 first, or if you find yourself like in a postdoc setting, you would try that national interest waiver that I was just talking about.
Okay. And just how soon would you need to like apply for these visas? Would it be like knowing that you'll be graduating a year ahead, or?
Well, you know you're going to get your OPT after graduation if you're on an F visa.
Yeah.
Or if you're on a J, you'll have your postgraduate training, which is also employment authorization. So, you know, you have to time it around that. I mean, you don't. Ultimately, this is why immigration becomes so individualized, because you each need to have your own individualized plan based on like not only your credentials, but also what you want to do with your career.
Exactly.
So again, you know, I would invite you to avail yourself of the consultation, but certainly anybody who's in a PhD program has a plethora of options. It's just a matter of like, what is the path of least resistance to obtaining your goal? And that's the focus that I like me and my staff to have when it comes to dealing with immigration.
Thank you.
Charlene, you want me to guess where you're from? You don't have much of an accent. I'm gonna go with Jamaica.
Is that the first one that you actually got right?
No, I've gotten 3 right. I'm 3 for 4.
Okay.
Yuan Yao told me he's from Taiwan, you know, so that one didn't count. He disclosed the information to me. I blew Ollie by a mile, but that's fine. I'll make up for it later. All right. Who's next?
Can I go?
Yeah, NC, you got the conch shell.
Yeah, my name is Latrine. You can feel free to guess where I'm from.
Well, you don't have your video
without seeing
on,
me.
so,
Yeah.
but I'll try to listen and guess. Go ahead.
Okay.
What's your first name?
Neutrine. My last name is Chuck, like Cheuk.
Okay.
I think it'll be pretty hard. But anyways, I'm in my final year of my Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree. And I'm
Cool.
looking to do further training after I graduate, which would mean 1 year of internship followed by 3 years of residency. And I do know that for my internship, I can definitely apply for a CPT so that I can stay legally and complete my degree. However, for my residency, I know that not all schools sponsor H-1Bs. So I want to know like what are kind of some of the visas that I can apply for in order to stay in the States to complete my residency training.
That's a great question. So it depends where you end up doing your residency. So for example, in Neutrine, if you do it at a teaching hospital, they might issue you a J1, which we may or may not want because of a 2-year home residency requirement. If it's in private industry, maybe it's an H-1B. Depending on your qualifications, again, the O1 for extraordinary ability is an option that we use a lot, but it really dictates how like heavy into research you've been and that aspect of it.
So in terms of H-1B, because I obviously do want to stay in academia and get trained in a teaching hospital. And I heard you talking to one of the participants saying that, you know, H-1B, as long as it's an academic institution, there isn't the 85,000 limit. Is that true? And, you know, how does it work? Do I have to pay out of my own pocket or does the school handle it all for me?
Yeah, these are great questions. So by law, an employer should pay all of the fees of the H-1B visa classification acquisition. So that's like sort of the primary aspect of it. You know, in terms of like other visa classifications like an O1, they can make the employee pay for it, but it's like very employer specific. So it's not like there's a one size fits all answer for you.
Okay, so if they do ask me to pay for my H-1B, then I can tell them that it's not okay for them to
Correct.
ask me that. Okay, that's
Correct.
at least really good to know. And do you think under the Biden administration, I know in the past couple of years because of Trump, schools have stopped offering H-1B visas. I just wanted to see if it's easier now to apply H-1B visas with Biden.
Oh, it's definitely easier. The denial rates are going down. The requests for evidence are going down. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of reason to be hopeful in that respect.
Okay, and my other question is, I did my undergraduate here in the States, and I used up one year of my CPT, and I was wondering, I've heard someone saying that if it's a STEM undergraduate degree, then you get a total of 2 years of CPT.
Only you get 1 year of OPT, and then you can get an additional 2 years, but the employer must be enrolled in E-Verify.
Okay.
So,
I just wanted to see if I can use that one of the CPT years that I didn't use after I graduated undergrad here in the States.
Sorry, you were breaking
because it's a
up
STEM.
there. I didn't hear that.
Oh, so you know, I get 2 years total of CPT
Mhm.
after I finished my Bachelor of Science degree in the States. And since I only used up 1 year of CPT, I was wondering if I could use that 1 year in addition to that 1 year that I
You're better
get.
off asking your international student office what they would allow to do.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Thank you.
So I think that's a good question. Where are you from?
I'm from Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Oh, what were you gonna guess?
No, I'm not. I was gonna say is I'll only guess if I can see you as well as hear you.
Okay.
But there you go. We got
That's
good
fair.
representation here today.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think, PSG? We got like a little UN going on, right? Patrick?
Prateek, yeah.
Prateek,
Before I ask my
sorry.
question, I just wanted to add a little bit to the previous conversation.
Yeah.
Is it 2 years CPT or is it 2 semesters of CPT?
No, she was getting CPT and OPT conflated.
Okay.
Oh no, I was referring to CPT, and the reason why I say that is because I know as a STEM major, you can extend your CPT from 1 year to 2 years.
No,
Is
no,
what
no,
I've
no.
heard.
That's
No,
OPT.
Is that-
That's OPT.
It's OPT. Yeah.
CPT
Okay.
is work authorization while you're in school. OPT
Oh,
is after
sorry.
you
Okay.
graduate.
What I meant is OPT. I
Yeah,
apologize.
no, we're good. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
All right,
The
Pratik,
reason why I got
guess
sorry, Jonathan. The
That's
reason why I
why you
got
got-
confused is because I'm on my second semester of CPT right now, and I should be back in the spring to defend in January. And my employer has gracefully offered to apply for a H-1B, and I just want to make sure all my ducks are in a row. Looking at a transfer of status from F1 to H-1B. And I just spoke to an international student scholar today, and they said it's actually better than OPT because USCIS will usually flag it if a CPT and an OPT go very close to each other. So I'm pretty much finishing my CPT, wrapping it up, coming back, defending with my PhD in January, and hopefully starting a H-1B at Duke University. So it's cap exempt in February. So I'm just
the issue with the OPT is if you've used more than 365 days of CPT, you're ineligible for OPT.
okay.
So that's kind of where that advice might be coming from. I personally, Pratik, think it's better to use all of your OPT before you go on H-1B.
Okay.
It gives you more bandwidth. It gives you a lot more flexibility. What if you go to Duke and you're like, this is fine, and hopefully they'll process you for an EB1 as an outstanding researcher and professor, and you get your green card pretty quick. I'm assuming you're from India and subject
Correct.
to wait.
Yep.
Yeah, but in reality, let's say you change your mind. Let's say you want to go into private industry. You're going to need that H-1B time.
Uh-huh.
So why give away authorization early? That's my thing.
Okay.
Yeah, but differing opinions.
I mean, I thought about this a lot, considering what I actually want to do. I want to stay with academia. I feel like my supervisor here at Duke is pretty cool, and I see working for him for a longer period of time. And if I get a H-1B for 3 years and maybe a green card after that, that's a little ambitious. I would like that, but definitely the OPT is better because you have the 3 years bandwidth, as you said, and then you can move on to the H-1B, and that helps with the green card. The only reason I'm looking at H-1B is I want to stay in academia, number one. The other thing is if I want to go to the industry, I want to go into the consulting industry. And I feel like that might not be my expertise, and it might be hard to maybe get an OPT on something that's not related to your major. So if
that's true. I mean, honestly, Pratik, what I would recommend for you is getting in there, get that H-1B if you want to, that's fine. But more importantly, get them to agree to move on your sponsorship for a green card.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm talking to HR in 2 weeks, so I'll probably do that. And
Okay.
I've scheduled a call with you folks as well, so hopefully I'll get a little more personal advice sometime this week.
By all means, or one of my staff members will be happy to help. If you're interested in consulting, join Produce Think Club. Thank you, UA.
I sent them an email, and I feel like it's mainly undergrads right now, and I haven't heard back yet. So
I'm the only graduate. I think they have the interview process, so I'm not sure whether they take new members, but if you're
Okay.
interested, you can send your email to me. I can maybe talk to them.
ooh, let me just shoot you my email right now because
Oh my
I'm
God,
part
look,
of
we're making friends. This is great.
connections, networking all the time,
All
Yeah.
the time.
All right, amazing. Cool, thank you.
All right.
Could I ask
Anybody-
more questions?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess my next question is, could I still apply for like F1 visa after I graduate if I apply for OPT?
That's really tricky.
Uh,
Sometimes they deny it, especially for
Yes.
Chinese nationals.
Yes.
They will go after Chinese. I don't know if you've noticed, but the US and Chinese relations are not really good right now. So they like will get you on that. Like you will go back. So if you have a valid F1 visa and you have an OPT card, you can travel into the United States, no issue. But if you need to get a new visa stamp in your passport, they will often push back on you for that. So I would caution against that, to be honest with you, if you can avoid it. Now, obviously, if you have to travel home because there's like a family emergency or something like that, by all means, we'll help you come back. But I wouldn't voluntarily put myself in that position.
Okay, so with that saying, if possible, it is better for me to get H-1B visa than go outside because it might be less issue to apply for H-1B visa, right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Same question again. I feel like I have common concerns with everyone. My visa's expired too, so I feel like that's one
I
of.
wouldn't do it, brother.
Don't leave.
India is the same kind of boat. India and China are like the two hardest countries in two hardest countries in the world to get visas for employment-based purposes.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't say hard, not necessarily the hardest, but they're very challenging. They are very, very challenging. Part of it's because of volume. Like India is overwhelmed with visa applicants right now.
Yeah.
And that's why when we were talking to, I think he's gone, the fellow at the beginning, I was cautious about trying to have him write to them in advance to make sure to see if they would be able to do it. So just be mindful of that. China, for different reasons, we're in like some sort of quasi argument with them always. I don't know. But right now, visa processing is like next to impossible. I tried to get this like Chinese performing group that were coming for a cultural exchange kind of thing under a visa called Q, permission to enter the United States, and they refused to see them at the embassy in Beijing. I'm like, come on, guys, like these are like traditional Chinese dancers, and like you really have a problem with this? But yeah, they did. So
I guess that's one more reason I shouldn't stay on the OPT, because I want to go back home soon and I don't want to stay here for 3 more years.
well, I mean, look, and this is what I'm saying to you, Pratik. You gotta like, I can give you advice from an immigration perspective. You got to put it into your life.
That's true.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
I have one more question. So it's about when is the right timing to start thinking about green card? Like, is that after my H-1B status gets approved, or is that after, like, what is the right timing?
A lot of it really is like dictated by your employer and what they're willing to do. Some employers are really desperate for workers now, and they'll agree to sponsor you for permanent residency on day one. Others want to use it as like a performance metric to see how you're doing and if you're a good fit with the organization. There's no like one size fits all answer to that question, Yue.
So what do you mean by day one? Is that the first day of employment, or is that the first day?
First day of employment. But like Yue, you can go to an employer and say, I will sign with your company, but you have to sponsor my green card on my first day of employment. I mean, you might not be that aggressive, but you can do that.
Yes, but then I have follow-up question about day one green card. So if I'm on F1 visa, then I apply for like green card. Then if I need to like go back to China and then come back, I may got stuck.
You can't do that because the F1 is a non-immigrant intent visa. So you would need to be an H-1B. But
yes, so that's why I'm asking. Probably it's better for me to get H-1B visa first so that I can travel back easily without like being stuck. So with H-1B visa first, what is the like best timing to start thinking about green card?
Again, it's really up to what your employer is willing to do.
But I could try to argue with them. I definitely want to know what is the
argue,
earliest.
say negotiate. We don't like to argue.
Negotiate. Yeah, negotiate.
Negotiate. I want to negotiate this. Yes.
Yeah, that's a soft word.
It's a softer word, exactly.
Yeah. So what is the earliest date I could start thinking about?
There's no rule on it. You can do it on day one. It's just what they're willing to do.
Okay.
Okay. Ozan, I'm guessing you're from Turkey without even hearing your last name or voice, right? That sounds like a Turkish name.
Yep.
Cool. All right. What's your question? That's 4 for 5 for those of you keeping score.
So I have a sort of related question.
Okay.
If so I'm a 4th year PhD student, and my sort of tentative plan is to apply for OPT, get approved, and find a job here in the States.
Okay.
And during that OPT period, I want to apply for green card under EB2 National Interest Waiver, as But my question is, how does it relate? Like, if I pay for myself, is sponsorship merely just a financial means? Like, does my employer have to be involved in this process if I
Well,
apply
not for an NIW, not for a national interest waiver.
Okay, so they have nothing to do with this.
No, you can NIW. You're filing on your own behalf.
Okay, it's just EB1 or O1 that when employer has to step in to kind of sponsor you. Is that
EB1 extraordinary ability, you can self-sponsor. EB1 outstanding researcher, you need a sponsor. National interest waiver, you do not need a sponsor. You can self-sponsor.
okay? And I have another question. So this is travel related. When I'm on OPT, and my F1 visa will have expired by then, is it okay to go in and out? Is it possible to go
Well,
in
that's
and out
kind
of
of
the
what we
country?
were just talking about. Like you would have to apply for a new F1 visa stamp, and they're not necessarily willing to issue those. Turkey's a little bit better than China and India in that respect, but it can be a challenge.
Okay, I see. So, but the common practice is not to leave the country during the entire OPT period. Is that what?
It's safer.
Yeah, that's what I
I'm
meant.
not saying no, but it's certainly safer.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure thing. More questions? Well, I think that was pretty good today, guys, for an open forum. Again, please avail yourself of the resources that are available, the consultations that the firm provides. I love Purdue. You guys are an awesome organization. Congratulations on the big win. Saw that. I was proud. Boiler up and all that good stuff. And I think PSG, do we have a session in November?
Yes, I believe we do. Sorry.
That's okay. So I don't know if you have any closing statements. We don't always have to go an hour. If we're out of questions, we're out of questions. But
No, nothing else. Just that I'm sending the attendance form again, just in case people who joined later didn't see it. Just anyone who joined, go ahead and fill that out. But I think that's it from me.
all right, great. Well, I really enjoy this. It's always good talking to you. And yeah, if you want to message me personally, I'm just going to drop my email address in the chat box. I'll be available to help you further.
Thank you all for being here.
Have a great rest of your day, guys.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
bye. Sorry, Shahada, I have to